Hello, all you beautiful people. I am Mike Ferrasi for Super Loans, NMLS 237341. And you, yes, you are being misled by the mortgage and real estate industry themselves. You see, there's a lot of data floating around out there, and data is great for people like me, industry professionals who create content. It always seems to give you a pretty good headline or a pretty good basis of information and education to pass along to your viewers, listeners, and readers. But when that data is misused, maybe even not knowingly by the people publishing it, it can result in tons of confusion, confusing actual prospective homebuyers and homeowners. And that's why I'm here. I saw something earlier this week, it was actually a little over a week ago, that got me fired up, so I figured I'd talk about it today. This was actually a social media post. I'm pulling up my phone so I can read it for you. For you, we'll put it up right over there so you can see it too. This post is from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. So you'd think that they would have the utmost professionalism to ensure that they're not misleading people with their posts of random data that they gather through their research. But when we look at this, it clearly states May 23rd through 27th, so that's the week of, late May, a family needs an income of at least $96,755 to afford a 10% down mortgage payment, up from $63,956 1 year ago. That looks to me like a huge shift in the market. Unbelievably intimidating if I was in the market for my first home. And for a lot of people, this just kind of makes home ownership seem out of reach, right? It's much harder to get a home now than it was a year or so ago. But can we please poke some holes in this thing? Yes, let's poke some huge gaping holes in this post and why it's doing the entire industry and especially our home buyers a disservice. This is misleading information. A family, can we get off this please? It's not family, it's household, right? You don't have to buy a home with someone that you're related to or married to. You can buy with one of your friends or a longtime partner or a business partner for that matter. Let's change family to household and make this right. A household needs an income of at least $96,755 to afford a 10% down payment mortgage. First thing I want to focus in on is 10%. Why? Why 10%? The typical first-time homebuyer makes 6 to 7% down payment, and there are plenty of mainstream mortgage programs that allow you to buy a home with as little as 3 to 3.5% down. Why are we focusing on 10% here, other than because it's an even number that looked good to a graphic designer? I don't think 10% down payment should be used as the baseline for anything. Now, the normal misnomer that you hear out there is that you need 20% down to buy a home. At least there's a basis for that, because with 20% down, you don't need to get additional mortgage insurance. But at the end of the day, 3% down is all you need. So let's please stop talking about these big lump sum down payments that need to be made in order to buy a home. It's just false. The next thing we're looking at here is this minimum income of $96,755 to afford that mortgage. But what's that based on? Okay, it could be based on standard debt to income calculations, taking into consideration a typical 30-year fixed mortgage with an interest rate that's taken from, maybe an industry average nationwide over the past few weeks. That seems like a sensible way at first glance to calculate this, and it would also seem fairly accurate. But here's the funny thing about national averages. They don't apply to anyone. A national average interest rate could be 5.2437%. Nobody's going to get that interest rate. A national average income could be $72,836 a year. few, if any, people are going to be bang on that national average. Everybody's going to vary here and there. And furthermore, we don't really have the basis of the information that they used, so they could be looking at an even smaller sample set. What if the sample set is 100 people, and those 100 home buyers purchased their home, and 99 of them had very typical incomes for standard working middle-class people in America? We're making between, $40,000 and $80,000 a year, whatever it is. But what if one of those 100 people happens to be a super successful business owner and they make $10 million a year? Well, that throws your averages completely out of whack. So we don't know how accurate these averages are. And even if they are accurate, income is only one piece of the pie. Everybody has a different financial situation when it comes to outgo. Do you have a car payment, or is your car paid off? Do you make minimum payments on 2 credit cards or substantial payments on 10 credit cards? A $96,000+ income doesn't tell you what you can afford. Your income versus your outgo, that tells you what you can afford. And the last thing here is up from $63,956 1 year ago. Well, that is like a 50% increase. Has home affordability really taken a 50% hit? Again, it depends on the metrics you're using, the calculations that you're running. In many markets in the country, there's actually more homes for sale now than there were a year ago. So supply and demand isn't as huge of an issue as it used to be. You may run into some competition. You may submit an offer and have a couple other people that you're competing against, but it's better than having like 10 other people that you're competing against. I mean, supply and demand is a huge thing, and bidding wars are happening less often now than they were. So that's something that leads into increased affordability, or something that actually eases the home buying process, which is not something we've been able to talk about for the past couple of years. So it's kind of exciting. So what have we learned? We've learned a few basic things. You can pull all the national averages you want, and they're never going to apply to an actual specific situation. Everyone is unique. We understand that. You should understand that. NAR, they should understand that. As the National Association of Realtors, you would think that they want to promote homeownership. But the way that I'm looking at this, all it does is discourage potential homeowners and make them want to wait a little longer to see if anything changes. We've also learned, I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. We shouldn't have learned that you don't need 10 or 20% down to buy a home. We should have already known that, but we have been reminded that the misnomer around down payment is so far stretching that it's causing the National Association of Realtors to publish things based on a 10% down payment, when that's kind of a baseless figure. Let's just clear our brains of all of that and realize that 3% down is all it takes. There's not a whole lot holding you back from buying a home, especially if it's your first home. With all the down payment assistance programs floating around out there, there's going to be something available for you. Hit us up if you want any more information on what may be available in your area. You can just shoot us an email at hello@superloans.com. But 3% or less can get you into your first home, and the typical first-time home buyer in the nation is only putting 6 to 7% down payment. So when we see these big, round, pretty numbers like 10%, 20%, $50,000, please just discount those. Just completely ignore them, because all it is something that was pulled out of thin air by a graphic designer because the line spacing looks better when using that figure. And we've learned that the market is turning around a little bit. There's not as much buyer competition out there. Price reductions on homes listed for sale are happening more often. The number of homes available on the market is growing every single week. And to the first-time homebuyers out there who have been waiting it out through all of this, or have been trying and submitting offer after offer after offer without getting one accepted, just know that your persistence and or patience will pay off. Getting an offer accepted still isn't the simplest of tasks in this market as we sit in June of 2022, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Again, I'm Mike with Super Loans, NMLS 237341. If you have any questions, hit us up at hello@superloans.com. I will personally reply to your email, or just pop a comment down below and I'll reply to it personally. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Get out there and get after it. When it comes to buying your first home, you got this. We'll talk to you next time.